Professional wrestling is the one true sport. Other sports have their share of intense, dramatic moments, but nothing can compare with professional wrestling. Welcome to Wrestling History X, where three friends come together to talk about the stories behind the matches. I'm Matt.
I'm the fake plastic guitar of one Wayne Ferris.
And I've been banned from Disney World because there's no goofy wrestling in ECW.
Welcome to episode 142, ECW Hardcore TV, from January 31st, 1995.
95, baby.
Yeah, welcome to 95. That's not true. I think we did a New Japan Super Show already.
We've done a couple episodes already in 95.
Did some stuff.
We're packing them in this January.
That's right. So this was the 93rd episode of Hardcore TV, produced by ECW. Like I said, it would take place actually on January 16th, 1995, from the National Guard Armory in Orlando, Florida, with an attendance of 427 people.
Orlando.
But it would air on January 31st on TV.
Fuck yeah.
I mean, you know, they're not paper in the crowd.
They definitely do not do that.
I mean, is WCW on like Universal Studios or Disney yet?
Yes.
And so yeah, like those are just free tickets to people at the park.
Yes.
It's like a thing to do.
Come watch a show.
Which is always weird. Like I get it because there's people in the building and you save money because you're not moving from place to place, but it's always weird because half of them they're not a whole lot of wrestling fans there. It's a lot of little kids, a lot of people that are just there to like have a beer and do something.
Get off their feet for a couple minutes.
Yeah. It's always a weird vibe. But here, 400 ECW fans.
They're there
probably
to watch a specific show.
Yeah, probably a better all-around vibe.
But we're in Orlando.
Yeah, we are.
So that means that Shane didn't have to worry about Philadelphia this week.
No. This week was a little easier. Did my little deep dive on what do people like in Orlando. And I found out that they like strawberry shortcake. Strawberries are a big crop from Florida, and they have this big festival. And yeah, one of the sweet treats of Florida is a nice little strawberry shortcake, typically done with a biscuit, some cream, some strawberries that have been macerated. Sweet, crispy, delicious, but you can do any kind of variety on it. Some sort of cakey, spongy item.
Yeah, I always did angel food cake.
Berries. We had one at Cheever's that had a lemon curd. That's actually what I was trying to go for this one, but I couldn't find a lemon curd, so I went with a little snack pack of vanilla pudding.
I've never seen lemon curd.
You can get it in I think a tiny dark jar for $8 in the top level of your jelly section or whatever, where it's like expensive.
But my Target wasn't fully stocked on their shelves at the moment, so
and you can make it, but
yeah. This one
time.
specifically, I was telling Matt I had ordered brunch this afternoon and had it delivered, and they brought me pancakes, and there was no butter or syrup, so I couldn't eat my pancakes, and then I thought, I was going to get stuff to make strawberry shortcake, and now I have this that I can use for my, what would be biscuit, the cakey part of the shortcake. So, we use some...
Stellar idea.
Use some Sunny Side Up Diner pancakes that already have kind of a vanilla wafer type taste to them.
Yes, they're pancakes, bean flavoring in
Oh,
their pancakes,
yeah.
And they're some of the best pancakes.
Yep.
I mean, it was good. I had a lot of other stuff on there, so I'll have to try those out.
I put the pancakes,
a la carte,
a little bit of the little snack pack vanilla pudding, some strawberries that I couldn't find a lemon, so I got a lime, put some lime zest, squeezed some of the lime juice in there, and then I looked up on top of the fridge and remembered that there was some Grand Marnier in there from one of the drinks that we had a while back, so put some Grand Marnier in there and let them sit in the fridge and macerate for a while, and layered them up. Some whipped cream, a little more lime zest, and
This was very
freaking
delicious.
delicious.
Yeah, to be honest, the just vanilla snack pack is a great idea to add to a strawberry shortcake,
Right?
and I will be remembering it next time. Yeah, next July or whenever, because we're
Like it'll
a
hold
look
the
behind
berries
the
in
curtain.
place.
We're working into the fall
It adds as a moist maker.
for sure.
This one was a hit.
Yeah, maybe that instead of the whipped cream, a little more dense. For your
I
angel
did put a
food
pinch
cake.
of salt in there. I think I put too much salt because I can taste the salt, but
I
it's
didn't.
still fucking good.
I didn't notice it. I think you did a bang up job.
Well, thank you.
Well, something that happened right around the same time as this Hardcore TV, Star Trek Voyager would premiere a couple weeks earlier with the first female captain as a lead character in Catherine Janeway.
Ooh.
So Voyager is Deep Space Nine before, or do they run concurrently?
Deep Space Nine is like in season 4-ish, I think,
When
at
it
this point.
started. Oh,
When
okay.
this starts. But they do run concurrent for a little while.
So like this is the first one that's like, because Deep Space Nine, they're normally like each episode's kind of a bottle episode in Star Trek, but Deep Space Nine is the first one that does the like continuation storytelling. So this is our
I believe
first more
Deep Space Nine does it like once it kind of gets into it,
Oh, okay.
starts
So it doesn't start that
building upon itself.
I have a lot of Star Trek friends, and I like Star Trek, but I've never deep dived on any of the shows outside of the original series because it's just really long. It's just a lot to commit to.
There is a lot of episodes.
And the first season of Next Generation is kind of hard to get through because it's not that great. And then season 2, it really kicks off. So one day I'll get to it. But a few years ago, I tried to watch it, and I got to the pilot episode, and I was like, oh, this isn't very good.
Yeah, I can't. I've never been able to get into Star Trek. I've watched some of the movies.
You watched The Wells,
It's a good one.
The what?
where they save the whales.
Is that Undiscovered Country?
I don't know.
Oh, it's a good. They're the
I
movies.
watched the remake.
4.
Yeah, like 1 through 4 are
Yeah.
good. 5, I
Well,
think, is.
one is
I like 1, but I understand people's
Nah.
feeling of where it's like, oh, this isn't quite Star Trek, and it's like, oh no, it's a little too like a little
in a
too.
17-minute sequence of just going around the ship. I get why people are like, oh
Yeah.
my god.
And you understand, knowing me, why I'm like, yes, give me 17 minutes of the ship, because it's a little bit like trying to do like a 2001 thing, and it's
Yeah.
like, well, that's not what Star Trek is.
I'm more a fan of the Chris Pine version of Star Trek.
Oh, really?
No one's gonna do that.
Wrath of Khan. So
As far as the first female captain, I never watched Voyager, but I do love her in Orange Is the New Black because she's
she on
awesome on there.
I mean, her
She's red.
Yeah, I know that face. I remember Voyager commercials and stuff. But as far
She was
as
a love
She's
interest
actually
for Frasier.
She's actually coming back in cartoon form on Paramount. They're doing a Janeway animated series.
they got like
wow.
3 like Star Trek animated series.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
they're Paramount's getting their money's worth out of Star Trek right now. Doing all kinds of
Getting
things.
their money's worth out of the challenge too. They got another challenge All Stars coming. My friend Tina's coming back. I'm excited.
Content.
Like, I have literally never watched Voyager either. I haven't got to it yet, basically, because I have been watching Star Trek. I started with the original series, watched the animated series. I've watched all of Next Generation. I'm into like the 2nd or 3rd season of Deep Space Nine. So I've been watching them just like slowly but surely.
Yeah. That's the difference between me and you. I won't watch anything, and then I'll watch all of it really quickly, whereas Matt's got some control. He'll be like, oh, I've been watching Next Generation 1 episode a week for 5 years.
I can't
and
do
like,
that.
it's like you have, you are
If I can't do a
such a
season
disciplined
in like a
man.
day and a half, why am I even watching this?
I can't.
You can't binge.
I
Yeah.
can't binge.
Yeah.
Like,
That's
I
a
can
good
watch,
thing,
I can
honestly.
watch like maybe 2,
Yeah.
3 episodes of something at a time. But more than that, I'm just like, I need to watch something different.
Yeah, I think that's a good thing, and
Yeah, I mean, it's
and
good.
because we don't have attention spans anymore, and when we do, we go all in on a thing, and Matt is watching television the way it should be watched.
When you watch
which
the,
is 1 new episode a week.
First 7 seasons of Game of Thrones in less than 7 days, when you watch 14 seasons of Supernatural in less than 12 days, you may have a problem.
It sounds like a problem.
The last show I think that I like binged was when I was catching up on How I Met Your Mother. Because like I had a week off at Christmas time. Like
Yeah.
It was like 2.5 seasons in, I think.
And you can also do like 20 minutes at a time.
I literally binged the 2.5 seasons to get caught up, and then I watched it weekly from that point forward.
Yeah.
That's it. I did that with Game of Thrones. Yeah, I watched the first 7 seasons in a full week or less than a week because the final season was getting ready to start.
And you're like, I want to join in now.
And I'd never watched it, but I didn't want it to be spoiled because everybody was freaking out that it was the final season. So I was like, all right, I'll get caught up on it. I mean, it was easy.
The key to not being spoiled is just not care, because I still haven't watched the last season of Game of Thrones, and I don't remember what anyone was talking about.
I've never watched an episode.
Well, when you do, I'll be laughing once you're saying the same things that some of us were saying a couple years
I'm
ago.
sure. I'm sure it will.
Yeah. That was an annoying time when that show was all the hit and everybody just wanted to talk about it all the time, and you're around and you're like, can we just talk about anything else? Because I have nothing to add here.
I was the Lost Water Cooler guy.
Yeah, me too. Me too. It's just like, at that point I wasn't ready to engage, and that's kind of where I've stood. But enough of this TV business. We've got some hardcore to get to.
Hardcore.
Last week on ECW, and Joey Styles says Tully Blanchard will no longer be wrestling, and proceeds to talk about how the Four Horsemen meant everything to him as he was growing up. But I guess Tully didn't realize that here in 1995, he had to fight. And we see highlights of a match between Shane Douglas and Ron Simmons, where the franchise yanks Ron's arm across the top rope, which brings out Scorpio to help a hurt Simmons. And the ref calls for the bell, saying that Ron cannot continue.
Damn.
Much to the crowd's chagrin, they were not happy about that finish.
No.
Shane then cuts a promo in the ring, making a challenge to anyone who would step into the ring as trash starts being thrown into it. Music hits, and it's Tully Blanchard to brawl with Douglas before hitting a slingshot suplex until Benoit and Dean Malenko would hit the ring to take out Blanchard. Joey then goes over what segments need to be done for the show when the crowd starts throwing chairs into the ring after the show is over.
Yeah, and then there's a guy that's about to throw one, and one cop grabs him by the shoulder, and he's like, no, and the guy's like, okay, and he drops it and walks off.
Yeah, I saw that, and
I laughed about that.
Like, what the fuck? They've already thrown 426 chairs in there.
They saw it.
One more.
they saw it on TV, a couple months previous, and it's a rowdy bunch. These ECW folks.
And the intro hits with highlights before the logo, and then Joey Styles welcomes us to the show, saying they've been banned from Disney World because there's no goofy wrestling in ECW, which I thought was a great line.
Yeah, Joey only really gets better over time, and he started off pretty great.
Exactly. He previews the matches that are going to be on the show before sending it to Douglas poolside at his hotel. And he proceeds to go on about that Blanchard has the guts to attack me from behind after my match with Simmons. So Tully's got my attention now. Franchise goes on about how Blanchard used to do drugs and drink, even while telling everyone not to do it. That Tully is a two-faced man.
Two-faced Tully.
Shane then says that he, Malenko, and Benoit are the triple threat.
What a 3 great guys to be a team, and what a great name for it.
I had no idea that the 3 of them
ever did a thing
really
like that.
Linked up.
Yeah, I'm excited for it.
This is when Shane Douglas gets really fun. And the thing is the reason they called themselves the triple threat. Did you guys figure it out?
I just figured it was because there was 3 of them, so it's got to be more than that, I guess.
Well, who's he always yelling about?
The 4 Horsemen.
So his group
Triple threat.
doesn't need as many as them.
Nah, we don't need a floater. There's always a floater in the Four Horsemen. Your Ole Anderson, your Lex Luger, Blanchard was not,
Barry
or
Windham.
no, your Wyndham did ponytail. Got
Lex
injured.
Luger?
No, got injured in. Unfortunately, did Magnum TA ever do a
No.
Four Horsemen? Okay, I didn't think so. I felt like I was missing somebody.
That fourth spot kind of was a rotating spot after
Roma.
after Ole Anderson
Yeah.
retired,
Roma.
basically.
Hey, I mean, Roma might have been the best in the Four Horsemen, but he shined for a little bit
Definitely
there.
wasn't the worst. The worst is yet to come.
I believe you.
Douglas continues saying the end of the line is near, and he believes the fans will hold up 3 fingers instead of 4 after the beating he is going to give Tully.
I mean, Shane Douglas promos are great, and this one is long, and it just piling up. I love that he said, "You Pearl Harbored me." I was like, hell yeah. It's funny. It's funny to hear a wrestler say that and not Gorilla Monsoon say that, or somebody say that as a commentator in reference to Gorilla Monsoon.
We then go to our first match, Sabu and Taz, with Paul E. Dangerously and 911 versus the Public Enemy of Rocco Rock and Johnny Grunge for the ECW World Tag Team Championships. Everybody is brawling as the bell rings, with Taz and Rocco headed out to the floor. Sabu drives Grunge into the mat and follows up with a slingshot leg drop onto the apron and a split-legged moonsault back into the ring for a 2 count.
That apron leg drop was just no good for either man. It's just like, I don't know how you protect yourself in that spot, man. That one's just like I hope we all land as well as we can here. But that spot, I was like, Jesus, man, it's been 20 seconds, Sabu.
Joey says Sabu is wrestling with an injured ankle as he heads up top for a moonsault, only for Rock to make the save.
Yeah, it's not even to bring up his neck.
Exactly.
It can't be healed yet.
Sabu flies out of the ring with a plancha to take out Johnny, while Taz hits a Tazplex on Rocco, making the cover, but the ref is distracted by the others, allowing Rock to get a foot on the ropes to break the count. Sabu gets a frying pan from the crowd, nailing Grunge across the face with it, while Taz and Rocco are out on the floor, where the Maniac hits multiple chair shots, only for Rock to return the favor with a kid snow shovel.
I mean, we're getting
a tiny snow shovel.
Yeah, like one of the ones that folds up or whatever.
All 4 men make their way into the crowd, using brooms, chairs, frying pans, and trash cans as weapons, until Johnny and Sabu make their way back into the ring, where Grunge is working on the ankle. Taz and Rocco make their way back into the ring, where everyone's still brawling, when Taz is tossed back out to the floor, but Sabu fires up with a springboard moonsault on Public Enemy for a near fall. Grunge is busted open as Taz returns to hit a double Japanese arm drag on them, sending Public Enemy out to the floor to regroup. But Sabu flies through the ropes with a tope suicida, only to be caught and rammed into the ring post.
Posted.
Public Enemy goes after Taz inside the ring with chokes and stomps before tossing him to the floor, where Johnny works him over, while Sabu comes back in to hit a top rope moonsault on Rock for a 2 count. Taz rolls back in to toss Rocco out so that he and Sabu can double team Grunge with a back body drop, followed by a Tazplex. Sabu then brings a table into the ring, and they set it up.
Do you think that the key, because this is really good, the key to a ECW garbage match is just Sabu and then somebody that can suplex everybody? Because it's like, this is really good, but it's because that they're doing like big heavy wrestling moves in between the shovels and the trash cans. If it's all shovels and trash cans, then your eyes glaze over at some point. You gotta pepper in some suplexes, some moonsaults, some slingshot leg drops on the apron, and then we're all in, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, because I'm like, man, like this is good.
They put Johnny onto the table, only for Rock to make the save by tossing Sabu out of the ring. But Taz drops Rocco with another Tazplex. Grunge is rolled out to the floor, only for Sabu to send him into the ring post
Posted.
911 then grabs Johnny and places him on a table that Sabu has set up on the floor.
Boo, I've had enough of 911. I know everybody loves him.
Inside the ring, Taz has taken Rock up to the top rope for a superplex, but Rocco shoves the Maniac off through the table in the ring, making the cover for the pin and the win. All while Sabu slingshot leg drops through Johnny on the outside. Post-match, 911 and Paulie get in the ring to check on Taz, where 911 grabs the ref when Rock comes in with a chair shot across 911's back, only to be no-sold. 911 then choke slams Rocco before doing the same to the referee.
Those refs, man. I hope they got an extra $25 for each choke slam.
Some sort of hazard pay.
Yeah, they are 911 fodder.
We go to the back. Joey Styles is there with Paulie dangerously. And Paul says that Public Enemy is going straight to hell. Right where they came from. They are both going to go through tables, which is something Sabu is really good at. He is going to send the champions back to the hood, or they are going to jail, where people will call them bitch.
Ooh.
I love that Paulie says he's like, OJ's going to trial, Tracy Lords is going to Melrose Place, and Public Enemy is going to hell. And it's like, I love it when they drop in some current events, and ECW loves to do it.
Tracy Lawrence is going to Melrose Place.
I thought they said Tracy Lords.
Oh, Lords. Okay. I was like, what is Tracy Lawrence
That makes more sense.
Yeah, the
Tracy Lords did.
Okay, yeah. Tracy Lords.
She was Joe's roommate, I believe.
Yeah. Sounds about right.
Crazy. Wanted to sleep with, I don't remember, probably Grant Show.
I mostly know her from,
Billy.
of course, the obvious thing that she made pornography when she was underage. Don't look it up. And and her being in Crybaby. That's how it's like the famous thing of ew, gross and illegal to I love the movie Crybaby.
She was in Zack and Mary Make Porno.
Oh yeah.
She was on Roseanne.
She made her rounds because
literally.
Yeah.
Good for her for spinning the controversy into some sitcom cash, some Melrose Place money.
Making that money.
Because I'm sure she didn't get a ton of money for a John Waters movie. They're not particularly high budget.
Probably not.
Even Crybaby probably might be one of the ones with the higher budget, but still.
Joey then sends us to a video of Raven inside a classroom, where he says that we spend our entire youth in a classroom just like this one. Childhood should be a world of bliss and knowledge, unless you are a misfit and an outcast, which makes it all a scare. You can try, but you never forget the horrors of the classroom. You can return to the classroom of your youth, but this time, Tommy Dreamer, you will not graduate. Quote the Raven, nevermore.
It was a hokey.
And the chalkboard has "I hate Tommy Dreamer" written all over it, like Bart Simpson.
Yes, exactly. I was like Bart style, because we all know that from, every single, when I was a kid watching The Simpsons all the time, I always, could tell if I'd seen the episode before based on what was on the chalkboard.
Yep.
Because I was obsessed with it as a kid. So, of course, Bart Simpson comes to mind. And I will say, Raven is not as cool as Bart Simpson. He needs to lighten up.
A little bit.
a little serious.
I'm worried that he's not going to anytime soon.
Yeah, well, bring back...
Or ever again.
Scotty, where's Scotty Flamingo? What was the other name?
Polo.
Johnny Polo.
Johnny Polo. Somebody get this guy a snow cone.
So we're headed to our second match. Cactus Jack versus Sandman with Woman in a Falls Count Anywhere match. And Jack is headed to the ring with a trash can when Sandman comes out to meet him, only to receive a shot across the head and continuing to use the can several times before using a chair as well. Into the ring they go, where Cactus Jack hits a body guillotine across the ropes for a 2 count, follows it up with a swinging neckbreaker for a near fall. Leg drop by Jack, and he goes to run the ropes, but Woman is there to crack him across the back with a kendo stick. So Cactus Jack rolls out to stalk her around ringside. allowing Sandman to attack from behind, only for him to be met with right hands, making a cover, which Woman breaks up with more cane shots.
Cracker Jack.
Sandman begins to work over Jack on the floor with chairs, soda cans, and trash cans. Back in the ring, Sandman hits a DDT onto a trash can before heading up top to hit a leg drop. But instead of making a cover, he heads up top again to deliver a face jam onto the trash can as well.
I know. I was like, you can't go back up, Cactus. You can't go back up. And he pulled it off. I was ready for something not to not go his way.
Totally did.
Sandman thinks that was a cool move, so he tries it again. But Cactus Jack hits a low blow and uses a trash can across his head multiple times before punching him off to the floor. Jack continues the punishment with a cookie sheet, chokes him with a rubber snake, and a miniature guitar shot over the head for a 2 count.
Oh, yeah. I love the Joey. He's like, oh, it's, the snake of Jake the Snake. And that stuff was planned. And it's like the guitar of Wayne Ferris. Funny stuff.
Who's Wayne Ferris?
Brutus the Barber Beefcake.
Okay.
I know. It's the honky tonk man. I love that Sandman is wrestling in a pair of Jordan 10s. Yeah. It's pretty cool. Take that, Young Bucks.
All right, he's with it. He's hip.
Back in the ring, Cactus Jack punches a trash can into Sandman's face, but it hurts his hand as much as it does Sandman's head.
Yeah.
Both men make it to their feet, where Sandman works the hand with the trash can, before spiking him into the can with a pile driver.
That'll do it.
Jack avoids Sandman charging at him, sending Sandman out to the floor, where Cactus Jack comes off the apron with an elbow drop for the pin and the win. Post-match, Woman attacks Jack with the kendo stick back in the ring, but he no-sells and allows Sandman to come from behind to use the kendo stick several times. Sandman then takes a lit cigarette and tries to poke it into Cactus Jack's eye.
Oh my god!
But he's blocked. All of a sudden, Mikey Whipwreck runs out to save Jack
Mikey.
by whacking Sandman with a kendo stick of his own.
Whack. I mean, yeah. This was also very good. Cactus Jack did a blade job to his knuckles.
No, he didn't.
He didn't? It was actually bleeding? I wasn't sure because I was like, that looks pretty clean. He did punch a trash can, but I can see Cactus Jack blading his knuckles, which is pretty funny.
He's a pro like that. He bleeds at the right moment.
Because he was selling his hand real good. Obviously, it probably hurt if it drew blood.
And years later, people remember him falling through the top of the cage, but what they remember even more is that tooth hanging out of his nostril.
Yeah.
He's a pro like that.
Yeah.
We go to the back, and Joey's there with the Sandman. And he says, Cactus Jack, you want to go gut to gut, heart to heart, insanity versus insanity?
As he smashes himself over the head with the cane while smoking a cigarette.
I'll take you on blow to blow, while Woman will handle the mind versus mind. Woman then chimes in that she will turn Jack into Sandman.
Turn you into him.
Yeah, and it's funny. It's like, well, which one's more crazy? Pretty sure it's Jack.
Joey is then joined by Cactus Jack, and he says, inside my mind, there is a soft spot for the history of my life. That means you have a soft spot too, Sandman. Every action that the Sandman does, he is proud of, because of who he is listening and learning from. Jack continues saying that he likes to win, and the gratification of having his hand raised. But now that Sandman has awoken a sleeping giant, he isn't going to be that man anymore. As of now, Cactus Jack doesn't care. His hand is a useless weapon.
He's got his hand just shaking, making it look all contorted, but it's more believable than you'd think.
And we can take psychological warfare out of the equation. He tells Sandman that at one point he had guts. So Jack drops to his knees and challenges Sandman to a Texas death match. If Sandman can beat Cactus Jack, he will walk away with his head held low. Because at one point, his name meant something. Jack doesn't want to become a full-time father and husband, but he will if he loses. Bang, bang!
No 1, 2, 3, baby. Texas death match.
Yep. Sorry, kids. He doesn't want to be a full-time father. But he will if he has to.
Mm-hmm. Yes, of course.
And that was the end of the show. So, gentlemen, I ask you, what are your thoughts of ECW Hardcore TV?
I mean, this is how you do a weekly television show.
Yeah.
You got great promos, 2 great angles, 2 solid, wildly entertaining matches.
A great build-up.
I'm not really counting the Ron Simmons thing. That was just like, that's just to set up the promo.
Yeah.
Yeah. But no.
We needed the image, but
a good setup or build-up, whatever you want to call it, a go-home show before their...
You understand
their next big show.
Yeah, you understand everything between these 2 big matches, and these are 2 of the marquee things.
Yeah.
So Shane Douglas, your champion. It's Cactus Jack, one of the biggest stars in your company. He's got the name recognition from doing the wild shit in Japan. He was super over in WCW like a year and a half ago.
Everything had a purpose. Everything was placed just right. This was
and the promos delivered. They gave him the time
show
because they know the guys can promo.
Promo work, pitch perfect, makes me excited for matches coming up. Like, if you tell me Tully Blanchard versus Shane Douglas, I'm just kind of like, oh, okay, cool. But that promo gets me excited for that match.
Yeah, absolutely.
The matches themselves, as you said while we were watching them, or as we were going over them, like, they did just enough in each of those matches that they're brawls.
Yeah,
that's what ECW does.
But they're paced well, and they didn't outstay their welcome.
Mm-hmm.
That's exactly. They didn't overextend their welcome.
It was it wasn't like Public Enemy versus like the Pitbulls. It was Public Enemy versus and I think the Pitbulls can be good, but they don't have the energy or the moveset that Taz and Sabu have. Absolutely. So you put in 2 guys that are willing to get hit by stuff like Public Enemy, and that are over, and Rocco can somehow, I don't know how he does it with his size, some flippy stuff, but you got Taz who can throw everybody around, and Sabu who could have a match with himself, and has. We've seen him land on his head.
Good. Where's the smart marks at? There. All right. Fuck you.
I think it's time we smark it up. So, what are your favorite moments of this show?
In ring, the leg drop onto the apron, the springboard leg drop onto the apron, just was like, I gasped, and
Cactus Jack punching the trash can and then going, that should hurt me too.
Yeah, him selling
it.
Yeah, even Sabu sold his ankle all right in at one point in the other in their match.
Yeah.
But like between some of the fun spots, like
Sandman whacking himself in the head with his kendo stick during his little promo at the end.
Yeah, even Sandman's promo was better than I expected.
Yeah.
I mean, it's hard to it's not better than Shane Douglas or Cactus Jack's, but those are 2 guys that have that.
No, Shane Douglas's promo, I mean, it was everything it needed to be as far as setting the tone for the upcoming match.
Yeah.
Making like I said, a little more interested.
Would we care about a Shane Douglas Tully Blanchard match without this promo?
No, for me, it's just like an interest because we haven't seen Tully in a long time, and his heyday has been over. His heyday was before, when there was only one pay-per-view a month, so we didn't see a whole lot of Tully Blanchard outside of like a couple of Starcades and the 1 year as the Brainbusters, really.
Yeah.
That's kind of it, at least in my memory. There's him and it's Tully and Magnum in the cage match. The I Quit match. It's like, that's an iconic match, but when I think of Tully Blanchard, that's the first thing I think of is that and the Brainbusters.
Yeah, his match versus Magnum, the Brainbusters match versus the
Strike Force?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, Tito and Martel.
Yes, against Tito and Martel.
Another team that broke up too soon.
And then literally the next time that I think of Tully is he showed up in AEW.
And now you'll think of this just because it was ECW, and you'll be like, remember that time Shane Douglas
beat up on Tully Blanchard?
Yeah, cut a you two-faced religious old man promo on Tully Blanchard.
Anything disappointing on this show?
I would go with no. It got in and out, and everything was, like I said, this is pitch perfect TV. Whether you like ECW or not, you can't call this a bad episode of television wrestling, I don't think.
I can't think of anything that I was disappointed with the show at all either.
No.
Yeah. Like, it's just a good way to spend 40 minutes.
There wasn't enough Tazplexes. Come on.
And he still did like two or three.
Exactly.
Yeah. It's like, yeah.
That's a joke.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
But I mean, we could always have more.
I did notice that he's officially being called Taz now and not the Taz
Yeah.
Maniac. Even had Taz on his ass instead of...
Yeah, it's like one of those things that it just... Tasmaniac sounds cool, but it sounds more like goofy WWF. And then, of course, being, Joey is going to eventually just shorten it because you're doing commentary by yourself.
I am a real Tasmaniac.
Yeah, and yelling Taz is better than Tasmaniac. Like, too many syllables.
Yeah.
Best performer of the night.
I mean,
I think
Shane Douglas in that promo.
You got to give it to Cactus because he was in the
Cactus,
match
yeah.
and did the promo.
Yeah, if you're gonna go through the whole show, it's probably that. If you want to go strictly in ring, you could pick Taz, Sabu,
Like, Taz
or
is
Jack.
always gonna be my guy.
Yeah. I'm still like, yeah. So those guys you can't
You guys
complain
can-
about.
You guys can see why Taz is one of my favorites. Just watching the show.
Yeah. Taz just keeps getting better. As same with Sabu. Granted, I'm sure we'll see some more slop in the future, but
No, I'm sure.
yeah.
Gots to.
Anything surprising?
Triple Threat.
Yeah.
I didn't know they were a thing, so...
Triple Threat
surprised
sticks
me.
around for a while. Not always the same people, because people
Go back to Japan, probably.
in and out, But
Well, hey, this first glimpse at them as a nice trio of...
Yeah, what a good
Like-
what a good three guys standing next to each other. You know
such
what I mean?
an underrated faction that some people don't know about.
Yeah.
It reminds me a lot of the Dangerous Alliance. Like, Dangerous Alliance was a great faction back in WCW,
Absolutely.
but it was so underrated because people just...
It was ahead of its time.
It was
I feel like,
basically
yeah.
it was the replacement for the Four Horsemen, basically, but it was its own thing.
Well, it's like those 2 years
It
or
could
so.
have been the NWO.
It was like 2.5 years before Hogan shows up in WCW. There is not a whole lot of like consistent shows, but the highs on shows are incredibly high, and the Dangerous Alliance is a part of that.
Yep.
Your Rick Rudes and Steamboats, your even York Foundation singles matches, like are high points. Your Austins, like there's so much good stuff, and if I feel like they just could have put it together, but we all know the history. That's what we've talked about it enough. But the Dangerous Alliance, of course. But Triple Threat, it's like those three names. Not everybody probably knows Shane Douglas, but everybody knows who Dean Malenko and Chris Benoit are. And it's a shame that people don't know who
Looking
Shane
back,
Douglas is.
Shane Douglas is probably the least known
of
out of
those three men. Absolutely. Which is a shame.
But Shane Douglas is he was the leader of the group, and he's just as good.
Yeah, he's not as he's not as
Gangrel, huh?
yeah. Kind of.
Literally.
Yeah. He's not as flashy as Benoit, but he's a better promo than Benoit, and his style is more traditional.
He's a good mouthpiece for a faction.
Oh yeah, and but his style is more traditional. Like I want to see a peak Flair, like a Flair Shane Douglas. Flair is like 89 peak. That match would have tore the house down.
Yeah.
But Shane Douglas wasn't a thing.
And now for a look back even further into the history of wrestling.
The dusty finish.
Hulk Hogan would meet the eighth wonder of the world at the main event on February 5th, 1988 in Indianapolis, Indiana. Using a Ted DiBiase plan for the original ref's twin brother to make a 3 count to win the WWF Championship. Andre the Giant, born 1946 in France to Bulgarian and Polish immigrants. He would work his father's farm until he was 18, when he would move to Paris and begin to be taught by a local promoter. He would make his debut in 1966 and start making a name for himself throughout the world because of his size. Andre would debut in the WWF in 1973, never being pinned for 15 years, leading up to WrestleMania 3. After Hogan was presented a trophy for being a 3-year champion, the Giant would come out only to receive a much smaller trophy for his undefeated streak. This would upset Andre, and he would turn to Bobby Heenan for advice, which brought him to odds with Hulk. At WrestleMania 3, Hogan would defend his title by body slamming and pinning the Giant. Over the course of the next year, Andre would team up with the $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase, as his hired gun. After the match at the main event, the Giant would immediately give the title to DiBiase. Andre the Giant's legacy includes being the first person ever inducted into the WWF Hall of Fame, along with being in the Greatest 18 Club, International Pro Wrestling, Professional Wrestling, and Wrestling Observer Newsletter Hall of Fames. He has appeared in movies such as The Princess Bride, Before His Death by Heart Failure in 1993. Even though Andre had handed the title to the $1 Million Man, it was seen as a vacated title, leading into WrestleMania 4, where a tournament would be held, where 14 men would vie for the title. Next week, double tables.
Double tables?
The fuck?
It's 2 tables.
2 tables.
Is it a table on top of a table?
Double
2 tables
Side
next
by
to each
side.
other?
That
It's got to be one or the other,
we'll
I
have to
guess.
find out.
Yeah.
Double the tables, double the fun. Double trouble.
Man,
double dribble.
that,
double Dutch.
I didn't realize that DiBiase was already there for WrestleMania 3. That was my takeaway from, our look back. I was like, oh yeah, like, it was pretty early.
Yep.
Earlier than I thought for some reason. I don't know why. I guess because he had such a long tail, but the tail's not as impactful. That's why I guess they call it a tail. It gets smaller the longer it goes.
music from this week's show is Sad But True by Metallica and Born to Be Wild by Steppenwolf. Since Cactus Jack won our main event.
Nice little duo of songs there.
If you like this episode or any of our other ones, go out there and rate and review us. Like Michael says,
5 stars or no stars.
you can do that on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, or wherever you find your podcasts at. If you have any questions, comments, concerns,
Recipes. Going back to Philly. What the fuck?
you can always do those at WrestlingHistoryX@gmail.com or find us on Twitter at WrestlingHistoX. That's Wrestling HISTO.
X.
We'll talk to you next week.
Laters.
That was like a Metallica inspiration.